Hello students, welcome you all to the Rapid Revision Route, and today in the session we are going to revise all the definitions in the GST. Yes, all the definition in the GST at one place. So let us start. Starting the definition from the first, that is the definition of goods. Definition of goods. What do you mean by goods? Under goods means all kind of movable property. Goods means all kind of movable property. Yes, includes actionable claims, growing crops, grass, things forming part of land, agreed to be sold before supplier or under a contract of supply, but excludes money and securities. It means any kind of movable property will be there, but it does not cover any type of immovable property. That's why immovable property will not be considered as a goods under GST, only movable property. And it includes actionable claims. Any type of actionable claims, that too will be considered as a goods. Next, growing crops, grass. The growing crops are still not ready. They are just growing on the land. They are not a ready finished goods or a product, but that too is covered under the definition of goods. Any things forming part of land, say any trees, forestry, any product of forest, etc., minor forest produce, etc., but it exclude money and securities. It means when you give any person loan, you will hand over the bunch of money to that person, so it will not be considered as a supply of goods. First of all, there should be a supply. Under GST, taxable event is supply. But what if the supply is not of goods or services, or there is a supply but the product itself is not covered in the definition of goods or services? Then no GST will be levied on such a goods, such a product. So it is very crucial for a product to pass the definition of goods or services. So this is all about the definition of goods. Now coming towards the definition of service. Yes, we are revising it. Service means what? So service means anything other than goods. Anything other than goods, it is called as a service, and it includes any activities relating to use of money or its conversion, etc., etc., for which a separate consideration is charged, but it exclude money and securities. See, money and securities are neither goods nor services, but anything done, any consideration charged for the use of money will be termed as a service. Sir, an example? Yes, we had an example right now only of a person giving loan. When giving loan, you are supplying money, but it is not a supply of goods. It's not a goods, neither it is a service. But for this loan, if you are charging any separate consideration by the name of interest, yes, separate consideration, it is interest, then it will be covered under the definition of service. Now, the interest charge will be a service, yes, and accordingly tax will be charged on that. Also, securities, supply of securities is neither goods nor service, but any consideration charge for facilitating or arranging transaction in securities. Say any brokerage charge by the broker of stockbroker for transacting in securities, then that brokerage amount is a service and hence taxable. So this is all about the definition of service. Now coming toward the definition of business. Under GST, what do you mean by business? Business means these 9 activities: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. This 9 activities. Business means this 9 activities. One word business, but it covers 9 activities under the GST. So activity number first: any trade, commerce, manufacture, profession, vocation, adventure, wager, any other similar activities. See, all these activities, whether or not for pecuniary benefit, means profit. You are doing these activities whether or not for profit, then it will be termed as business. Either you are doing this for profit or not, it will be a business. Activity number 2: any activity transaction in connection with or incidental or ancillary to subclause A above. The activities right now that we have seen: any trade, commerce, manufacture, profession, vocation, adventure, wager, etc., etc. So any such type of activities Any connected activities with these activities or any activity incidental or ancillary to these above activities will also be termed as business. Third activity, any activity transaction in the nature of A above, whether or not there is a volume, frequency, continuity, regularity of such transaction. Say any trade, commerce, manufacture measure. For example, you are doing manufacturing and you have done manufacturing only for a month in the whole life, for only 1 month. So whatever be your frequency, continuity, regularity, volume, that doesn't matter. If you have done any type of activities that are defined in clause A for a single minute also, that will be termed as a business. Fourth activity, supply or acquisition of goods including capital asset services in connection with commencement or closure of business. At the time of commencement of business or at the time of closure of such business, if you have done any type of activity of supply of goods or service, then it will be termed as business. Yes. Next, fifth activity, provision of any services by say club, association, society, any other body where separate consideration is charged in form of subscription to its members, etc., etc. Say for example, membership of a club, you paid the membership, consideration is charged. Yes, now you are going to access the facilities of that club, so it is a business. Admission of a for a consideration of person to any premises, for example cinema hall. To enter that cinema hall you have to buy a ticket. So admission for consideration of a person to any premises, it is also business. Service supplied by a person as a holder of an office. Yes, as a holder of an office. You are not doing that business, but you are a holder of the office in that business. Say director of a company. You are not the owner, but you are holding the office of that company for a particular profession, vocation or trade. It will be a business. Any activities related with the horse racing by way of totalizator, license to bookmaker or activities of a licensed bookmaker will be termed as business. And any activity transaction undertaken by central government, state government, local authority in which they are engaged as a public authority, that will also be termed as a business. So all these 9 activities are defined by a single word, that is business. Now the definition of person. What is the definition of person in GST? Person means any individual, company, HUF, firm, LLP, or any artificial jurisdictional person or cooperative society or society registered under their respective acts, a trust, association of person, body of individual, any provincial corporation established by central or state or provincial act, means any public sector undertaking or public units, public companies like this, any body corporate, central government, state government, local authority, all are termed by a single word person under the GST. So person means all this. Person means all this. Now coming towards the word consideration. What do you mean by consideration under GST? Under GST, consideration may be say in money or otherwise, say in kind. Any payment made to be made whether in money or kind. In money or otherwise. Money or otherwise means money or kind. Either it also includes either any other mode is there, money or kind. Yes, other mode is also there. So that's why they are saying including any monetary value of act or forbearance. For example, you have done any act or forbearance not to do an act, any act to do an act or not to do an act. Why are you doing this? Why are you paying these things? In respect of, in response to, for the inducement of supply of goods or service or both. To make this supply of goods or service, in return either you will pay money or you will pay in kind, or you are going to perform an act or not to do an act. Got the thing? So this, all the 4 things are consideration in GST. Yes, but consideration does not include any subsidy by the government or any deposit made. Yes, any deposit made unless and until the depositing is being adjusted in the consideration as a consideration. Now, supplier, from whom the supplies are made, the person supplying the goods or services or any agent on behalf of that is a supplier. Now, recipient, coming towards the word recipient. Recipient means two cases. There are two cases of recipient. One, consideration is payable, consideration is not payable. Either goods or service, if consideration is payable, then who will be the recipient? The person who is liable to pay the consideration. The person who is liable to pay the consideration. And when there is no consideration payable, what in case of goods and what in case of service? If there is no consideration payable, in case of goods, recipient will be the person who is receiving the goods, and in case of service, recipient will the person who is receiving these services. So this is all about, and any agent receiving on behalf of such person will also be termed as a recipient. Now, the definition of India. What is India under GST? India means territory of India as per article number 1 of the constitution of the act. India. Again, territorial waters. How many nautical miles are the territorial waters? 12 nautical miles. The seaside and the subsoil underlying such territorial waters. Continental shelf, exclusive economic zone or other maritime zone, and any airspace above this territory and territorial waters. Now, what are the territorial waters here? Seabed, 12 nautical miles, subsoil, continental shelf, see in the diagram, 12 nautical miles, territorial water. After that, again 12 nautical miles, contiguous zone, and below that there is continental shelf. Yes, exclusive economic zone. After 12 nautical miles from the land, again 200 nautical miles is the exclusive economic zone, and below that it will be maritime zone. Yes, so this is only the territory of water, and any air space above this territory and territorial water, this will be covered as definition of India under GST. Now, further, reverse charge. Reverse charge. Before that, I will tell you forward charge. In case of forward charge means what? Forward charge. In case of forward charge, the supplier recovers the tax amount from the recipient and pays to the government. And in case of reverse charge, opposite. Now the recipient is going to pay the tax himself to the government. This is the only difference. Again, this term we are going to discuss in short detail in the charge chapter. Yes, non-taxable supplies in which on which GST is not taxable. Yes, which are not taxable under GST. Which are what are the examples of these products? Non-taxable supplies: alcoholic liquor for human consumption. Yes, and petrol and petroleum products. Electronic commerce, the platform on which you are selling, you are supplying your goods or service using that platform, and the person operating that platform is the electronic commerce operator. Now the definition of family. What do you mean by family under GST? Spouse, children of that person, and parents, grandparents, brother, sister of the person if they are wholly and mainly dependent. So if the brother is dependent, he will be termed as a family under GST, yes. But if that brother is independent, then he will not be termed as a family under GST. Now, agent means any person who is doing any type of supply in behalf of principal and receiving separate consideration for the same. And again, principal means who is giving agent the authority to supply the goods or services. Conveyance. Anywhere this word comes under the GST, conveyance include vessel, aircraft, and a vehicle. Associated enterprise. Its associated enterprise are those enterprise which somewhere or anyhow will control the management of other enterprises. Yes, say holding and subsidiary company, both are associated enterprise, because somewhere the control and management of that subsidiary company is being affected by the holding company. Common portal, GST common portal, council, GST council. Yes, coming in front. Now, this is all about place of supply. Yes, place of the chapter, place of supply. Now here there are different terms: location of supplier of goods, location of supplier of goods, services, and location of recipient of services. Now, what are these location? First, talking about location of supplier of goods. In case of goods, this location of supplier is not defined under the GST, but applying the logics on this part, location of supplier will be the location where the goods are kept. or from where the goods are being supplied or the place of business. Now, coming towards the next term, location of supplier in case of service and location of recipient in case of service. Location of supplier in case of service and location of recipient in case of service. Both are having similar meanings. So, let's see. Supply made from or supply received at. Supply made from or supply received at. Now, made from or received at a place of business which for which registration is obtained, for which registration is obtained, such a place of business where registration is obtained means registered place of business. If a supplier is making any supplies from a registered place of business, or the recipient is receiving any supply at the registered place of business, so in that case the location of supplier and the location of recipient will be such place of business, registered place of business. In case the supply is made from or issued at a fixed establishment elsewhere, then the location of such fixed establishment. What if there are more than one fixed establishment? So for every fixed establishment, the location will be different and different. So what if we are not knowing these places? We are not having the registered place of business. We are not having the place of that fixed establishment. Then you may consider the usual place of resident of that supplier or recipient as a location of supplier or location of recipient, the place of residence. Now here, fixed establishment means any such establishment of that person through which is not doing any business, but other than business he is supplying some additional services from that establishment. Say service center of any cell phone company. Yes, smartphone company. Yes, service center. What they are doing? They are not doing the business of selling the smartphone. They are providing additional services in support of that company who is manufacturing and selling the smartphone. So, fixed establishment. Now, place of business will be different in different conditions. Say, in case your goods are stored in a warehouse or a godown, that will be a place of business. In your store, that will be a place of business, or registered place if you are not having any godown or warehouse, that registered place of business from there where you are doing the business, etc., etc. So this is all about the definition involved in the place of supply chapter. Now, continuous journey, very simple term. Continuous journey means what? Continuous journey means continuous journey, not a break journey. Once you have boarded on that conveyance, you will left that conveyance at the destination only. For the reaching the destination, you are not using any other more conveyance than one conveyance. That is a continuous journey. Now, coming towards the definition involved in the ITC chapter, inward supply. Inward supply means any supply you are taking as an inward, not outward. You are not supplying the supply outward, but you are taking the supply inward to make this outward supplies. For example, raw materials. Raw materials are the inputs. Yes, inputs. Labor services means input services, or you have purchased any plant and machinery, capital goods. This all are the inward supplies. And any tax paid on this inward supply is called as input tax, is called as input tax. And any tax recovering while making the outward supply from the recipient, it is termed as output tax. Means tax on outward supply, and input tax means tax on inward supply. And while paying this output tax to the government, we utilize the input tax credit. Everybody know the meaning of input tax credit. Again, this term we are going to discuss in the chapter input tax credit itself. So, looking forward, another definition: electronic cash ledger, credit ledger. Again, these things we'll discuss in the respective chapter, payment of tax. Now, zero rated supply. Zero rated supply means what? Any supply of goods or services for export of goods or services, or supply of goods or services to a SEZ, special economic zone. These are called as zero rated supply in the GST. Yes, in this GST, zero rated supply means these two supplies. Now, works contract. Works contract is being given in case of any immovable property. Say you are asking a builder to complete a building. You have paid the money to the builder and you have given a contract to a builder that you have to build a proper building, either commercial, residential, etc., etc., within a year. That is a works contract given on immovable property. Now, continuous supply of goods, continuous supply of service. Best example, milkman. Early morning he comes to your house, he give you the milk daily, but paid the payment made is on the end of the month when he generate a statement of the whole month. That is a continuous supply of goods. And again, continuous supply of service, the postpaid card services, these are continuous supply of service. Continuously the cycle will go on. The month will completed, your bill will be generated, month will complete, bill will be generated, like this. Continuous supply of service, continuous supply of goods. Now, coming toward the definition of aggregate turnover. What do you mean by aggregate turnover under GST? Aggregate turnover means all taxable supply. First of all, it will include all taxable supply either made by your own or on behalf of others. Any supply made by the person, if it is a taxable supply either for own purpose or making on behalf of other, that will be considered under the aggregate turnover. Yes. Again, what is included? Exempt supply, all types of exempt supply. What do you mean by exempt supply? It includes nil rate supply, wholly exempt supply, and non-taxable supply. The word exempt supply includes these three supplies. Again, what is included in the definition of aggregate turnover? All kinds of exports, interstate supplies. Every interstate supply export is included, but what is excluded from the definition of aggregate turnover? Inward supplies in RCM and taxes in GST. Inward supplies in RCM. See, when you are paying tax under reverse charge, means the supply is not yours. The turnover is not yours. It is the turnover of that supplier on whose behalf you are paying the tax. It's their turnover, not your turnover. So that's why it's not included in your aggregate turnover. Yes. And the taxes under GST, these are also not included in the definition of aggregate turnover. The last definition, business correspondent and business facilitator. Business correspondent and business facilitator. See, you have seen somewhere in your practical in your life that in a village, say where there is a population is very less population, and there the bank cannot establish a branch because establishing a branch there will not be profitable for that bank. But somehow they have to provide a proper network there also, so that the villagers living in that village can access the facilities and the services of the bank. So for that, the bank appoint a business facilitator or correspondent. Now what is the work of that correspondent? Now the correspondent will help the bank to establish the network of banking there in the village by say establishing all the stuffs of that bank in a particular one single room in the house itself. Yes, in a single room he will establish the internet, the network, everything of that branch bank, and say system of that bank. He can access the system of that bank, and he can provide the banking facilities to the people living in the village. In short, the business facilitator and the business correspondent act as an intermediary between the villagers and the bank, and helps the bank to spread the network of bank in the village where they cannot open the branch. So this is what about business correspondent, business facilitator, and this is how we completed all the definitions which is there in the GST. Yes, so meet you all in the next video of the next topic. Up till that, bye bye to all of you. Hello students, I am here with the announcement for all of you. We are starting our CA Intermediate Taxation regular batches from 21st of September, and CA Foundation all subjects regular batches from 25th of September, and these batches will be in 100% English language with all the concepts of the module and all the past years examination paper discussion. Everything will be covered in that. So if you want the inquiries of these batches and the shocking price, early bird discount, you can contact on the given number. So meet you all in the regular batches. Up till that, bye bye to all of you.